Well, it wasn't boring. Was not boring. And not the conclusion Jays fans wanted as they lose the World Series in a Game 7 that went to extra innings to the LA Dodgers, who repeat as World Series champions. I am Dan. That's Kyle. This is CJ. CJ, for the rest of my life, I will wonder how you give up a home run to the number 9 hitter in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, and it wasn't your ninth hitter like you have on the J side with Jimenez at times when he is batted there and was tonight. You might expect that a little bit. For Rojas, the decision to put him in the lineup over these last couple of games was really about defense. It was about getting Andy Pages out of the game out of center, which meant Tommy Edman had to go into center field, and that meant second base was open, and so Rojas was the guy that they went with. He gets a lot of accolades for being a good guy. I actually played with him at the very end of my career in winter ball in the Dominican, all the way back in, gosh, it was January 2013. It's a really long time ago. But, he's a good player. He's always been a good defender. And the reason that he's on that team and on that bench is you can move him around defensively. He made some great defensive plays the couple of days he was in there. That part, though, what you saw with the bat is the last thing that you're anticipating. As I was sitting here watching it, and the guys that I stay in touch with on the radio side, during the game, I was about to text, man, how are you not pinch hitting here? You had a couple of lefties on the bench. Why not go to Rortvedt or maybe even Kim? Give him a chance, have some chance to get some kind of offense. I didn't type it, thankfully, so I didn't have to deal with that embarrassment. And then Rojas goes out and hits a homer. It's so improbable what he did. It was a great series from an entertainment standpoint, but my heart breaks for Jays fans because it looked like they had this thing. They had multiple opportunities still to win it, and it just did not happen.
CJ, in the end, is this series going to be remembered by what the Blue Jays didn't do as opposed to what they did? Because they left a lot of guys on base tonight.
Yeah, certainly for Jays fans, it will be, right? I think whenever we have these conversations, and I even had a guy calling on my radio show the other day complaining that it was all about more what the Dodgers didn't do when they were down as opposed to what the Jays were doing. I think it's all about your perspective and where you stand. I think for a fan of the game, but not a fan of the Dodgers or the Blue Jays, they'll probably be thinking about Yamamoto and the great job that he did and seeing some guys step up in some really big spots. They'll think about the Rojas homer. But if you're a Jays fan, yeah, you are looking at those opportunities that were there going back to Game 6 with second and third in the ninth inning that we saw and the craziness of the ball that got lodged at the very bottom and the base of the wall, which was just a wild play. I think that's one that'll come up. But then, yeah, many opportunities, unfortunately, throughout this one where it just did not happen. They could not get that runner in from third, including the very last inning. It was clear that they were not going to give Addison Barger anything to handle. And so to see a 3-0 splitter, I mean, that's how much the game has changed, but it was also an indicator that they were going to try to get him to chase, or they were just going to go on to holler on Kirk, who's a really good player. But they got the first and third that they wanted. They knew that at least the double play was in order. Yamamoto's a great ground ball pitcher. He was able to get that ground ball, and unfortunately, the game ended in a double play.
It's kind of surprising that it took until the top of the 9th for the Dodgers to tie it. They had something cooking every single inning.
Yeah. Backs against the wall. I mean, I think the one, let's say surprise because he's been so good, but, just Bassett running into a little bit of trouble. I was sitting here and having this conversation and saying, okay, how do you play this out right now if you're the Jays? And once Bassett got in there, for me, it was Bassett and Savage to try to get 8 or 9 outs and then hand it off to Hoffman, which is exactly how it went down. Unfortunately for Hoffman, he ended up allowing that homer. I was nervous about Dominguez because of the command and some of the things that we saw. Now he ended up walking a couple, but didn't let up any runs and got out of that jam. And then it was down to a starter that ultimately Shane Bieber had the opportunity there to kind of finish things up and allows that home run to Will Smith, which is unfortunate. And when we see starters do as well as, say, Yamamoto was done and even Snell was okay tonight, sometimes we gloss over it. It's not easy. It's not easy for starters to do what Bassett has done throughout the postseason. But I think for Bieber to come in, especially with his year, looked like he was cruising, got a quick 2 outs, and then unfortunately ends up letting up that home run. So I think it is going to be the conversation surrounding a lot of those opportunities. But at the same time, like you said, it seemed like they were there for both teams for the taking, even the Dodgers, and they couldn't quite capitalize it. More often than not, that's a tip of the cap to pitching.
CJ, obviously going into game 7, it's an all hands on deck situation, but at any point, did you expect to see all 4 of the Dodgers ace starting pitchers in the game tonight?
It's kind of amazing, right? We
Yeah.
talked about it yesterday. We figured Ohtani would start. That makes the most sense as far as the Ohtani rule goes. Glass now looked a little bit uncomfortable. But am I surprised to see all of them? Yes, because Yamamoto to me was the biggest surprise by far. I thought it was a crazy move. Quite honestly, what was it, 96 pitches that he threw? He only threw 6 innings. We wondered why he came out of that game. I mentioned you guys yesterday. I didn't see it, but a buddy of mine was like, yeah, it looked like he might have been rubbing his forearm. So maybe he wasn't feeling great. Obviously, that was a non-issue for him. I mean, there's a lot of risk involved in having Yamamoto of that group of guys you're talking about more than anybody throwing here tonight. And he was excellent. And I talked about it in the broadcast here about kind of invoking a little bit of what we saw with Madison Bumgarner. I think Bumgarner threw like 5 innings, though, if I'm not mistaken, when he did it about a decade or so ago. So a little bit of a different feel there. But what he did tonight, he didn't look his best. He didn't look his sharpest, but he made pitches when he had to make them. To me, was probably the biggest storyline of the night.
The story for the Jays was written. Bo Bichette, the first ever 3-run home run in the World Series since the 60s. Ernie Clement, since a postseason record for 30 hits, he scores.
So
many articles got deleted by writers.
Yeah, it's a great point. You're right, because they're up to the very end, writing their game story and what is the slant going to be, and you're going back and forth, and it looked like the Jays had it. And again, nobody's anticipating Miguel Rojas hitting that home run or really doing any damage in that spot. And I'm sure that we get to talk about it. We didn't have to delete and start our stories over. Those guys must have just been dumbfounded and started scrambling.
When Rojas, when you played with him, did he have expensive necklace money then?
No, so he had not gotten to the big leagues yet. He came over at the very end. It's kind of the Wild West when it comes to the postseason and winter ball down in the Dominican. He and I were both joining new teams. They can just change rosters over like it's weird. It's almost like the way that this postseason went. Like the Jays could have pulled a couple of Yankees off their roster once they got eliminated. That's how it works in winter ball. It's just crazy. And so he had showed up. We were probably teammates for about a week, so I ended up getting released. But even then, you got to feel for what kind of guy he was. I remember when he showed up, he was just there to play baseball and do whatever he could to help a team win. And again, that was 12 years ago in winter ball. Now here he is still doing it and is well respected for the way that he carries himself and what he brings to a team.
Bo Bichette obviously had a couple of very big moments tonight. It's obviously the home run. However, they did have to pinch run for him at one point in an attempt to put another run across the plate. That did not work out for them. And then they sadly missed his bat there in the last inning. How much do the little things like that injury to him and the need for substitution there, that's kind of the story for the Jays as well, isn't it?
It is, right? We saw him going station to station, right? He could not take the extra base tonight when there were some opportunities first to go to second and then the third, right? There's 2 times that when healthy, there's a pretty decent chance he's going first to third, or when he was at second to home, right? On a couple of base hits. But you could see he's grimacing as he's kind of rounding the bases, and you can't take that chance, right? There's no way for Carlos Febas that you can get aggressive there and try to send him. You already got a guy who's hurting a little bit. The last thing you want to happen is you push him into a situation he shouldn't be in. He slides in, he ends up getting hurt, and then he gets worse. Like, he obviously was struggling, but you want the bat because he was comfortable hitting with his couple of hits in that huge home run that Dan mentioned. It just stinks. It's the right move. It's unfortunate when Isaiah Kiner-Falefa comes up. You got that runner at second, and instead it's not Bo. Both swinging there, right? Instead, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is laying down a bunt, and he did a good job and got it down. That's something that'll probably be questioned as well, right? When it doesn't work out, bunt, pitch around a guy, and get the double play is kind of the playbook that you go for, depending on your pitcher and where you are in the lineup. But that's exactly what the Dodgers did. They were probably happy, quite honestly, to see Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, not just because he was hitting, but to go ahead and lay down the bunt. And Yamamoto made a really good play. It was not an easy play to make. And you have like these things that you always say when you're in the dugout and they just kind of become, second nature. And I haven't played, professional baseball in a dozen years. And I still said, throw it in the crapper, as he was picking up that ball kind of thing. Because you see it so often. You see lesser pitchers who don't field their position as well in a tight play like that in such a big spot, having to hurry and throwing a ball in the dirt or throwing over the head of their first baseman.
The bench is cleared in this game, and the World Series almost ended on a call that was reviewed at the plate that they did the fastest I've seen a review, and it may have been the closest play.
I was surprised by that too. And the conversation I was having with my guys, and a lot of times we'll send video back and forth. It's easy to say now. I didn't look at it as closely. There was some talk about the secondary lead from Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Max Muncy was holding him pretty close, but the jump maybe wasn't great. I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but as far as the replay goes, I'm with you. I was like, "Ooh, this is an interesting one." And based on how we see replay usually treated, you're going to make sure that you take a lot of time. My guess is that they turned it over, or they confirmed it as quickly as they did, because they believe that he still had his foot on the plate when he caught the ball, right? It's the other thing, if you're saying, did he get it back in time? I think that would have taken more time to review. If you're a conspiracy theorist, this is gold for you as far as who you think Major League Baseball wants to win the World Series, but I don't think it matters once you get to a Game 7, as much as they love Shohei Ohtani and he's the golden ticket. I'm not going to go down that path, but I'm going to throw it out there so other people will, so I can read your stuff. But yeah, I think that it had to be that they felt pretty clearly and pretty quickly that what they saw was that Will Smith's foot held home plate, and that they didn't have to sit there and line all the video up of whether or not he actually got it back down in time.
It's of little consolation to Blue Jays fans and really an entire country right now, but that has to have been one of the greatest World Series ever played.
It was a good one. It was a really good one. I think, again, going back to what we talked about from Game 1, and that was that the Jays were heavy underdogs going into this. The sting will be, of course, that you felt like they could have won Game 3, 6, and 7, quite honestly. I mean, they were in every single one. But it was an excellent World Series. It was really well played. It was a lot of great defense, a lot of huge moments that people will remember. I do think big picture for the Toronto Blue Jays, at least for us from the outside, we're looking at this organization and saying John Schneider in the front office, they're on the hot seat going into 2025. Now, if they had capped it off with a World Series win, that would have been unbelievable. But the fact that they even got there, that they got to a Game 7, that they held on to win the division, I mean, all of it is a feather in the cap. They did an excellent job up and down the line. It's also a really good reminder, I think, for fans. So we overreact sometimes when it comes to managers and front offices. And I'm guessing there's a lot of people north of my border here that were ready to run everybody out of town. And then look what they did this year. They got the Vladdy deal done, which was big. I know it doesn't start till next year, but that was really important. After losing out on Soto and losing out on Shohei Ohtani, they had to get it done, and they found a way. And I didn't think they were going to. And the fact that they did that and got to Game 7 of the World Series, of a really great World Series, like you mentioned, Kyle. I mean, there's a lot of good things here for the Jays. I know it stings right now, but based on where this organization was 12 months ago compared to where they are right now, they have a lot to be proud of, and they got to be excited about the future.
Well, with the revenue generated, they may have already paid for half of Vladdy's contract already.
You and I think alike, right? I'm watching this game and I'm looking at these crowds and I'm like, man, they are raking right now. Because it's also the way that the CBA is written is I believe the players end up giving up most of their money. They get most of theirs for the first 4 games. And then everything after that, that's where the owners get a much bigger piece of the pie when it comes to tickets and those kinds of things. And I'm just looking at everything that's going around and the money that's getting spent in the ballpark and around the ballpark, quite honestly. But I had that same exact thought. I'm like, man, they are crushing it.
In the
right
50-50, it was up to 21 or 22 million.
Yeah. Now that was for the whole postseason?
It was
that's how
the
they
World
did
Series, I think.
Okay, yeah, because they got me when we were there early. I guess it was last year. I can't remember when it was. And I'm looking over, and it was like mid-April. I'm like, how is this 50-50 so high? And I realized that it rolled over. I'm like, all right, that makes a little bit more sense. And you can get in online,
yes,
which is really
now only in
smart.
Ontario. And Joe Carter calls the winner.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
A personal call from Joe Carter himself. That's a bit better of a consolation than just a well-played World Series.
I would take that. I would take the.
I'll take the 22 million. Yeah, 22 million Joe Carter phone call and a loss. I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
exactly.
good with it. Go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna get CJ's party thoughts. I'm depressed.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, as probably the objective voice here in the group, man, I'm impressed by the run, and I'm impressed by the emergence of guys this year. You've got a lot to be excited about with Trey Savage, which, by the way, we keep saying this is the biggest outing he's ever going to have, and I thought we were done saying that after his last start, and then here he was again in Game 7 of the World Series. So I'm going to stop saying it, and so maybe even bigger and better things to come. But I think the emergence of certainly him, that's something to get excited about. There's some free agents and some conversations. Certainly Bo Bichette is a big one. I got to think there's a pretty decent chance that he's going to end up in a different uniform. He proved that he can play a little bit of second base, which is going to help him a lot now. in free agency, quite honestly, because there were so many questions there. But the Blue Jays are in a good spot. Addison Barger really emerged this year and did some really good things. I know he's going to be thinking about getting doubled up in that ninth inning. It's almost impossible to avoid that, and that's going to be tough. But he's a good player. I really like him a lot. Ernie Clement had a monster postseason. Good play, right? I think I told you guys this earlier. Watching the Jays and thinking, is there a place for them to upgrade over Ernie Clement, right? It was some back and forth that we were debating on the radio side at MLB Network Radio about that part of it. And he did an unbelievable job. And so I think, again, you have your shortstop in Jimenez. So even though you might lose Bo Bichette, you have a guy right away that can fill in. So hopefully they'll take this and take all that money that they made and they'll continue to pour it kind of into the team. But there was a lot of good things and things that needed to happen this season, quite honestly, for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I'm glad to see that they did.
Well, we thank you for joining us after every single one of these games. It was a wild ride. Glad we got to experience it together.
Yeah, 6 out of 7 were fun. That 3 a.m. one was, I don't ever want to do that again as much as I like both of you guys.
That.
Never, ever again. I thought about it too. Remember I said, I was like, well, if they're going to play 18, that's fine for game 7. And I was like, no, and I saw that game time. I'm like, wait, why'd you say that? You because I got an early wake up tomorrow, so I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for having me.
That's CJ Nitkowski. It's confirmed Yamamoto, the MVP. If we already didn't know that, I don't think that surprises anyone. He was the one pitcher that stymied the Jays. When they brought in Blake Snell, I'm like, okay, they're gonna tee off, but they couldn't. That 3-run shot. And then the bench is clearing. I'm like, they're going to capitalize. This place is going to go nuts. And then they couldn't get anything going after that.
Dan, at its best, sports can be uplifting and bring us all together and remind us that we're all much more the same than we are different. But at its worst, it's heartbreak. And tonight for Blue Jays fan, it is heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope somewhere inside over the course of the next few days, the Blue Jays fans can look back on this run and remember what it meant to a city and to a country and to a team, that we were all able to experience this together. They were able to go through this and show the fan base that they're ready to be taken very, very seriously again. This is a good baseball team. They gave us everything they had to give, and eventually we have to get around to showing them a big thank you, because it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, but before fans get to that, they're going to get to
You're
the
right.
ball lodged under the wall. They're going to get
foot off the plate.
Yeah, foot off the plate. They're going to get to walking. What's his name? Otani. They're gonna. It's gonna be so many. They're gonna.
I got more on the list. We can keep going. It's just there's so many of these little moments of second guess. The men left on base tonight was incredible. There was a lot of situations that weren't capitalized upon. How much of that's nerves? Well, I mean, the Dodgers did their part. They threw 4 aces at the Toronto Blue Jays tonight and had to take 11 innings to win the baseball game. It was remarkable to watch. I'm exhausted. On so many levels right now, I'm exhausted.
And the big home runs from Muncy and Rojas, 2 guys that and then Will Smith, obviously. 3 guys you would never, ever pick in that lineup to go deep, because the big guys did not get it done for the Dodgers in this game. Otani was non-existent. It's just, you'll be questioning again, how does the number 9 hitter go deep? He had 7 home runs in the regular season. As CJ said, I'm surprised he had that many.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that stat. I might have to fact check that afterwards.
When he came in for the first time, I'm like, wait, this guy's in the majors?
He played really good.
He does not look like a major. I mean, I'm not making fun of the guy's physique. He just didn't look like the rest of the Dodgers. Like the rest of the Dodgers are impeccable
specimens. They're specimens.
Well-trained ball club. And this guy comes in. I'm like, I guess he's a good dude. That's what he kept saying. He's a really good clubhouse guy.
He played really good D for them too. I mean, that pick on the last out of the game last night, that was not an easy play to make. But you know, it's funny. We talked so much over this entire run about the Jays being this 1-9 team. We forgot that the Dodgers 1-9 are basically an all-star team. And for what seems like the first time in this series, it was those, I don't know, B-tier all-star players that got it done. And, they outlasted the Blue Jays.
Yeah, well, we can now return to regular bedtimes. And let's find the positives. It was fun. It was entertaining. It
Yeah.
united a nation. But now we can get some sleep.
I would have been fine to go a few more days without it. With
I can't.
you
I've
done?
never
Are you
had
done?
an ulcer, but I think I have one. Like there's a pain in my stomach.
Yeah, it was a lot to deal with. Like tonight's game alone, the messaging back and forth with the people I knew that were watching and just waiting in the wings for something to blow this one open so they could just set their nerves at ease. And it never came.
Nope.
It never came. The 3-run home run was the last time anyone in this country felt comfortable about this baseball game.
Yes, because like I said, every inning the Dodgers had they just chip away, one run here, one run. And then when the bench is cleared, I'm like, oh boy, this thing's gonna get nasty. But there wasn't another close pitch to any hitter in the game.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single pitch that oh no, Springer one came close, but it had all died down by then. And I'm glad Springer told the bench, he's like, no, it didn't hit me because they were going to review it,
Yeah.
which it always baffles me when the hitter just doesn't say like, yeah, it hit me or no, it didn't. When they have to review it sometime and the guy's sitting there, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
There's 75 high-speed 4K cameras in the stadium, but he's just going to let it play out and use the use up
Well,
the
they
challenge.
reviewed the one on Alejandro and it's like it hit him right in the forearm.
It wasn't even close at the bat, no. Although I guess it kind of sounded like bat or something. I don't know. It was you could tell by his reaction he got hit pretty flush on that one too, but man. And then CJ said there, having him up in a ground ball situation, that was tough. And he's a ground ball pitcher. And
as soon as he hit it, I'm like, oh no.
yeah, it's like broken bat too. There was nothing on it. Like, oh man.
Well, it does change one historical stat. We went in with a team that swept a series to get in, facing a team that went 7 games to get in. The team that had gone the distance in the previous series had always won the World Series. That changes this time around.
Yeah.
And I think the road team has won the last 5 it's maybe 5 or 6 now World Series in a game 7.
You mean the team that starts a series on the road?
No, like wherever the game
won
is
it
played,
on the road.
the game 7 road team has won that game 7.
You might be right. Hey, well, let's at least mention Ernie Clement breaking the major league record for hits in the playoffs.
Yeah, 30.
That's a hell of a lot of hits. It's all for naught, but still impressive on some level.
I was also going ballistic when they kept Scherzer, and I'm like, I thought the first base runner he gave up, he would be gone, but none of this was Scherzer's fault. It's it's a team game. It's no one's fault. They play as a team. They win as a team. They lose as a team. But Scherzer, he gave everything he had, and his send off was loud, and he acknowledged the crowd because I think he knew that was his final time walking off the mound.
Here's a note from production right now, Dan.
Yep.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the first pitcher ever to win 3 World Series games on the road.
Wow.
It's impressive. When's the last time a pitcher won World Series MVP?
Good question. You want me to ask ChatGPT?
Well, it'll probably lie to you and give you a name of some Buffalo Bison player. It was an impressive performance by him. Him coming in, what did he throw? He threw 30 some odd pitches tonight, give or take.
Yep.
Yeah. After throwing,
but he didn't have the imposing presence. I'm like, he's hittable now.
It was different. He was leaving more pitches up, but he eventually, he got the job done. So I'm not going to sit here and critique the World Series MVP. That would make me feel silly.
Steven Strasburg, last pitcher to win the MVP in 2019.
Okay, so it's not that long ago. He was electric too. Man.
Okay. Well, any final thoughts, Kyle?
No, Dan, listen, I had a lot of fun doing all these post games too. It was a hell of a run. I don't think anyone expected this to go to game 7 of the World Series a few months ago. Bobby Valentine was great. CJ was great. It was a lot of fun doing these, and I wish it would have ended differently, but that's baseball.
Let's just hope we don't have to wait another 32 years because I will be 82.
Okay, well, I'll be dead. I'll be dead.
82. How are you? Let's get the band back together.
I can't imagine what the rules will be then. Oh, man.
Well, the pitch clock will be down to 5 seconds. The games will be 58 minutes.
Third base coaches will be AI and just
Now we're delirious. Okay, well, thanks
Yeah.
for joining us, and we'll be back to regular scheduled programming on Toronto Sports Rush on Mondays. We're always on every Monday, so I'm sure we'll have a lot more to unpack from this World Series as the Jays will reveal who was suffering from what. It's George Springer probably shouldn't even have played because
Everything?
of injury. Yeah.
and fouling balls off of himself all night tonight and whatever's wrong with his side and back on every single swing. Warrior performance, though, I gotta say.
Great World Series. We will never forget it, and we're glad we were here along with you for the ride. We'll see you later.